I was aware of the Saturday school for quite a long time, and then when my son started school, 10 days after starting school, he asked me to spray his face white. So then I thought, right, it's time to get more involved in him being around more, as he terms it, brown people, because for me to be able to explain the political term black, I don't think he's there right now. So when you saw me in September, October, that was like, okay, we need to be around brown people. If it means coming here on a Saturday, every Saturday, that's what I'm going to do.
My kids didn't really have a problem with that, and they didn't actually attend Saturday school because both their schools had them at school for the morning on Saturday, so we couldn't do Saturday school. But what I noticed when they were older, that they had a little bit of a problem with their identity, so I thought just get involved with more things, and so that it doesn't happen to other children. We're a big enough family to cope with their issues, but I do wish they had come to Saturday school. It just there wasn't enough hours in the day, so we couldn't do that. But I do enjoy being at the Saturday school, and the Saturday school actually helps you know what else is going on in the community, so it's quite nice, and you get to know the children, and you're watching them grow and develop, and you're actually seeing the use of the Saturday school, you're seeing what it's doing for the children, and I think the best thing it does is it shows them their teachers, the mentors that they have, are the same colour as them, and the discipline that is expected is the same as they would have at home. So I think they then see that in a learning environment, and I don't know if it helps them at school, but I would imagine that it gives them more confidence. And we do trips away here, we do different outings up to London, or if there's something going on, we try and fund that as well, yes. And also this year, when Black Panther was on, we got the local theatre to put on a private showing just for the Saturday school, so the kids really enjoyed that. And what I found about that was it reminded me of when I was younger, when we used to all go to cinema on Saturday, all the black people in the cinema, and the sort of the calling out between us, and the jokes that you can understand. I heard the children do the same thing, and they were so small, and I just thought it created an atmosphere that I feel is missing now. But it was strange because I don't think anybody told them about it. It's just in it. They had the same sense of humour, and they actually spoke up, which was brilliant.
Because when we drive past the cinema now, it's just on the corner, every single week he says, are we going to see Black Panther at the university? I said, no, it's not the university, it's Saturday school. But if you want to tell your teacher you're going to university on a Saturday, that's fine with me. But I went to Saturday school. Now I think about it, we all went to Saturday, there was 6 of us, and it was just part of our week. We had school, we had Saturday school, we had Sunday school, then we had school again, so it was a constant, unless we went to, for example, Sheffield, or we had something else to do, or a wedding, we were always at Saturday school. So I had collected all the paperwork for this school. I knew about the Hilltop Community Centre because of various things that have gone on here before. I knew the family here. When I say family, I mean Kojo, Gordon, yourself, Elaine, and I met Pauliana as a patient last year, and she then explained that she was part of the same Saturday school that I knew about. So everything kind of it all came together, and I had Gordon's email address from years back, and I was still sending him things to do with either Grenada or Guyana or the various Caribbean things, or anything that was going on in High Wycombe. So I always had that contact with Gordon and Karen. So then coming here now, I realised that one of the teachers, she not only teaches the children, but she also takes time in talking to the parents about their relationship with their child. So she explains to me, it's very important to say to your child, if you're not staying, that mummy's going to come back, because the first time I left my son, he cried because he didn't know whether I was coming back or not. So I was like, oh, that's something I have to do, is it? I have to say I'm actually going to come back and collect you again. So that is helpful in a way if you're a first-time parent, or if you think you're very knowledgeable about raising children, but then you have your own, but then you don't have the backup experience of the extended family. You have somebody else who's not necessarily blood family, but they can say, well, actually, in this village that we have, tell your child that you're going to come back and get them again at the end of the session. So that to me was like, that was a real eye-opener.
One of the nice things I think the Saturday School does is they've carried on the tradition that I grew up with, in that all adults are uncle or auntie, and if you're not so you don't have to say Mr. and Mrs., which is cold.
Yeah.
It's uncle or auntie, and I know it causes my son problems to this day because he thinks it's related to everybody, and he'll ask me how are they related, and I have to say no, it's just a manner thing. It's just a manner thing, but it's nice that it's carried on, and it's carried on here, because my children were beginning to think they were the only people that were being made to say this, so that's nice for it to be here.
But you find that tradition with amongst like Nigerians and Filipinos as well. When I went to the Philippines in 2006, I was called ate, which is their word for auntie, because I was older than the person that was addressing me. So when I asked them what that meant, I mean, it sounded like auntie, but it's the same mentality that the person who is slightly older or who's an adult is auntie, uncle, and we've just come from friends who are even older, so they're granny, or granny so-and-so, grandpa so-and-so, but your grandmother lives in such and such a place. She is your grandmother, but you can call this person granny or grandpa because they are slightly older than auntie. So for him, wherever he ends up, he's got, like you're saying, auntie, uncle, and if you like, granny, grandpa. And when new babies are born, I refer to them as his baby brother or baby sister, because everyone talks about this village, but they don't necessarily know what it looks like. You have to put it in place yourself. So if you know somebody's having a baby, like his childminder has just had one, he'll say, well, when is her baby hatching? He has to understand that babies don't hatch, but the baby's here, and we'll go see her as and when, and then you can hold your new baby sister. Now, this baby is white, but it's still, he's got that relationship with his childminder that he wants to hold his new baby sister.
That reminds me when I was younger, when my children were younger, we were standing in a queue in Sainsbury's, and my daughter has a spatial awareness problem, so she always stands too close to other people. So she was standing next to this woman, and she looked round, and it was an older white lady, and she said to the lady, well, where are your grandchildren then? And the lady turned around and said to me, how does she know I'm a grandmother? So I thought, it's just because of your age, so she decided that person's got to be a granny. So that's their way of realising people who are older than them. It's quite funny.
But so the spatial awareness issue, she doesn't have a intergeneration. What's the word I'm looking for? Intergeneration, the new word that we brought out.
No, it's
generational issue. She understands the progress, the order of things.
Yeah, but no, her thing is that she will always get too close to things, physically too close. She's driving now, and it's like I put off her learning to drive because I knew she had this issue. So yes, she has this thing. So what she wants, we've only ever had a SUV, say a Jeep. So she's now saying to me she doesn't want to be in a Mini, she wants to be in a Jeep, because that way she knows she's far away from other things. But
So I think when we look at children, for example, who may have special needs or a need, we don't always see, well, this is the need that the school might be focusing on, but actually they're excelling in somewhere else. So the point I was making with yourself was, even though they've identified a need, she's actually able to look at people and she's able to judge that this person is of a grandmother's age.
That was when she was little. She did judge people by what they looked like, because another time we were at a wedding and there was a lady in front of us with a very short skirt. And the lady turned round and my daughter went, Mummy, some people wear clothes that are too young for their face. But that's how innocent they are. They sort of think and say things, and then you sort of realise their world and the way they see things. I mean, she's still a bit too, she's 24, she's still a bit too outspoken, but we take it in our stride.
My mum recounts the story of when I was in the laundrette. In those days, most people went to the laundrette, you sit there, for however long it would take for you to finish your clothes, And she said, in those days, of course, people smoked in the laundrette, so you'd have to be really careful that your clothes didn't end up being really stinky by the time you finished. And she said that I said, age 4, something along the lines of, I went to the person and said, you know that smoking is going to kill you, don't you? And it's that age where you sort of like, you either say shh, or you're like, just let the child roll and say, well, I'm not saying anything illegal, just let them do it. And I think with my son, there's certain things that he says that are completely hilarious that I have to document and share with other people because it's so sweet. Yeah. And a friend of mine advised, just remember this sweet, cute stage because it's not going to be like that. We're going to grow out of that stage. Yeah. So just treasure these moments now. So seeing him here at the school and watching him interact and then asking, are we going to Saturday school? Is it Saturday?
Yes. Yeah, because he's changed a lot since he's come. I remember the first 2 times you brought him, he was just crying.
A bit teary.
And but now he's quite confident. He comes and asks for what he wants, and he doesn't ask for you.
That's fine. I get 3 hours to myself. I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, he came today. I didn't see him today, but I realised he came with you. But yeah,
he's everywhere. He's my handbag. He's under my armpit. He's everywhere. So.
Yeah. Not wishing to top your stories, but the same daughter. She was at nursery and they took them for a treat to McDonald's, and it was about the time when they had mad cow's disease.
Uh-oh.
And so they took her into McDonald's and they said to her, they turned around and said, Shannon, what do you want? And she just announced to everybody, if you eat burgers, you're all going to turn into mad cows. And the lady said it sort of, everyone went silent, so her last one, she said, well, that's what they say.
That's not what Mummy says, that's what they say.
No, she didn't say Mummy, because Mummy never took her in there, so but she just said, you know, you're going to be a mad cow. But that's the innocence of them. But as I said, they didn't, I wish I had been able to bring them to Saturday school, but as I said, there wasn't enough time. And I think I'm enjoying it more than they did. They were different. And they can't
yeah, funny how you said there's not enough time, because you as a parent, I'm getting a lot of phone calls from grandparents who are taking their grandchildren into Saturday schools. Do you think that's going to be a role for you in the future?
It definitely will be a role, because my grandson isn't going to go to the same sort of schools as my children did. So yes, I will be bringing him to Saturday school because, as I said, one of the issues I had when my son was of an age, I grew up, there were many black children in my school, so you made friends with the only black child that was there. And that didn't necessarily help because they might not be the same sort of character as you. You went along with whatever they did. You get into trouble because you did something that your parents say you wouldn't have done that otherwise. So I was quite conscious that my kids went to schools that had a large, enough other black children that they didn't feel they had to be friends with one person. And funnily enough, that was the private school system when they were growing. And my son had, he's got a nut allergy, and so we couldn't take the risk of putting him in a state school either because they didn't have rules about what children brought into school. They have them now, but when he was at school they didn't have that rule. So the private school that they first went to is right across the road from where I live, so we just dumped every other thing, going on holiday, doing whatever, and paid for schooling for them. And as I said, their schools went on to those Saturday mornings as well. So that's why we didn't get them in school. My son has just has a 2-year-old, and there's no way he can afford to do that. So yeah, we're going to need to use more schools. But it's quite funny to think that there were more black and Asian children in private school.
Yes.
That when you found a good private school, than there were in a good state school. Because the good state schools around here are quite good, but then when you look at them, there are very few black and Asian children, because the black and Asian children tend to be in the schools closer in the town.
Yes, yeah.
And the better schools are out on the outskirts of the town. And the one school that we found that was state that seemed quite good.
It's still filming. It's still filming.